So, getting a job in the games industry is, it's really hard. So today I want to give you some really practical advice on how to get a job in the games industry once you graduate, or even some advice about how to get an internship and some work experience. So my name's Joe. I'm a senior recruiter at Electronic Arts. And I've been at EA for about 2 years now, and I hire for a whole bunch of different game studios. So in Guildford we have Criterion and Ghost and a Frostbite team, but also I've helped hire across North America and the rest of Europe. So I'm hoping I should bring a lot of experience and some good advice today. So, a bit of a brief overview of this talk over the next 20-ish minutes or so. Just going to give a brief overview of Electronic Arts, what we do. Then I'll be talking about some of the jobs that you can get in our game studio. Then we'll get into some of the practical advice about getting that job. And then lastly, I'll wrap up with what internships are coming up with us, and then some advice on actually how to apply and some other bits like that. Great. So, first of all, I'm just going to assume you're in games and you know of EA, but if you don't, then hopefully this short video should give you a good overview of what we do. Cool. Explosions, sports, etc. So a bit of an overview of just some of the games and titles we work on for EA globally. I've tended to pick some of my favorites. So obviously Star Wars games, Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Titanfall, Apex Legends, all the EA sports titles, The Sims, Battlefield, Anthem, etc. So, bit of an overview. We have, if you compile all the players of our games across PC, console, mobile, that's over 500 million players of our games across the world. We have 39 office locations. We have just over 10,000 employees. If you include contractors into that, it takes us to about 17,000. And we have 19 studios. You might be aware of some of those being BioWare, Maxis, Criterion, Ghost, DICE, Respawn, and a whole bunch of others. Like I said, in EA Guildford, we're actually about 450 employees in our location just southwest of London, in case you're not sure where Guildford is. We have about 200 that in game dev, so across Ghost, Criterion, and Frostbite. So it really is a large group, but actually our office space in Guildford is quite unique in that we've got every single type of organization in one building. So that's all the corporate side as well as the game dev side. So this is a good segue into leading on to jobs in a game studio. So I'll be talking about that. You're doing degrees very much around game development and those crafts. But another thing is there's so many of you in the room here, and I really hope all of you get the jobs that you want, but also the point of my presentation is to highlight some other roles that are within EA and within the wider games industry. I think when people think about jobs in the games industry, they go straight to making the game. But if you look at EA in terms of employees, game makers, game devs are somewhere around, they're less than half of the business. The other half being a whole bunch of other support functions as well. They're all part of the games industry, and a lot of those people have a real passion for games and could even come from degrees like yourselves. So that's the point of today, just to, I guess, broaden those horizons as well. This Venn diagram I always bring up when I'm speaking to students. I remember someone brought it up as I was about to graduate. I did a degree in philosophy, which I always say the hardest question I had to answer was, what do I do with this degree? So this Venn diagram was super helpful, and it's really just right there in the sweet spot is where you want to be. And I'd say, yeah, you can definitely get that. And it's a combination of the things that you love, the world needs it, you get paid for it, and you're great at it. So when you're thinking about that, and perhaps you're doing a degree that touches on so many different aspects of game development, you want to really be thinking about your craft, perhaps, and really where the type of role that you want to be doing within a game studio. So if you're in a game studio, you could be bucketed into one of these areas. And I'd like to think, like many of you could go into these various aspects. But when you think about a AAA game studio or just a large game studio, you break down any one of these areas and then you've got a whole bunch of other jobs within there. You work at an indie studio, perhaps one of our EA Originals partnered studios, where they perhaps, if we use engineering as an example, perhaps have a handful of programmers that are doing the entire game. Come to somewhere like Criterion, and yes, we've got near to 50 engineers. So yeah, and they all specialize in their different areas. So if we think about engineering, yeah, I've helped hire for all of these types of roles. And like I said, at the moment, you're learning so many different aspects of game development, which is great. Keep that learning mindset going and keep exploring new fields. But if your goal is to get into a bigger game studio, then you can really start thinking about perhaps how you want to specialize. You can even think about that now. I think about on our Frostbite team, one of our current interns, actually when she applied, she presented an engine and a renderer that she had been crafting herself. Amazing. Funnily enough, she's really interested in engine development. One of our current interns with Criterion, he was really particularly interested in physics, but he also had animation, UI, and we could see where his interests lie, and then we can line that up with the type of projects he's doing in his internship. I think it's a really interesting balance between specializing and remaining, I guess, generalist. Because if you specialize, there's a really clear chance for you to go into that type of role in the studio, but keep yourself so that you can get a variety of jobs. So yes, it is that balance, but I'd always say at least explore all of these areas and have a good understanding of what they are, and so you can really figure out where your interests lie. So I mentioned EA specifically having a whole bunch of other roles. And within all of those areas, you'll find people like genuinely really passionate about games. That's the whole reason I got, I wanted to work at EA myself. I've been a gamer all my life, but I work in HR and I hire people. So yes, that's my team here, HR, human resources. But we've got a whole bunch of other aspects too, and so business development is about anywhere, partnerships where EA partners with other companies. FIFA is obviously a huge one, $2 billion a year. And so, that for the business development team, we're constantly speaking to them about different marketing opportunities and things. Marketing is all about selling the game, getting players excited, bringing players to actually play the games that our studios create. Cybersecurity, stopping those pesky hackers from cheating, etc. Esports is a fairly new division. We call that the competitive gaming division within EA. And we are looking to expand that a lot and bring the production in-house pretty soon. So for those who have skills perhaps in video production and understanding of the marketing on that side of things, that's a whole new world that is opening up. Finance, all to do with the money. Content, all to do with any cinematics, trailers, video content, written content that we have there, very closely tied to marketing. Sales, that's not individually selling the game at a corporate level, at a bigger level. That's about selling, I guess, partnerships or our branding and our IP, perhaps to other companies that we'd partner with. Legal, full of lawyers. Stops, really helpful at times, yes. Great, so getting into some really specific advice about what I'd say to all of you, that you can do right now and get prepared for when you graduate. So I was thinking about this a lot in terms of the specific steps that you can take, and that will really help you out. So I mentioned about picking your craft. You may have already done that. You might already be in an arts degree. You might already be really focused on programming or game design. Brilliant. You're already there. You're already there picking your craft. And again, say with game design, you could even think about level design, character design, mechanics, engineering. I gave a whole bunch of those other aspects there. Art, it could be concept art, think about technical art, could even go into animation. You really start thinking about where your interests lie, and perhaps even during your degree or even outside where there's so many free resources, start exploring those smaller or subsections of your craft. And then that really ties into honing your skills. You're at university, great place to hone your skills. But again, what I find from our interns and the people that we hire, they really show their passion because perhaps they have side projects or they've been learning in their spare time. One thing we really look for are self-learners, people who are self-learners and lifelong learners, just constantly want to be absorbing new information. That's a really fundamental thing we look for when hiring interns, and to be honest, when we hire people at EA overall. So these next three, I'm actually going to show you someone I know specifically. Her name's Lucy Smith. She actually wasn't an intern with us, but I've met her at so many different conferences, spoken with her online, and I was telling her recently, I think the way she's gone about getting her job once graduating, that whole build up to that was perfect. She had multiple offers. So I'm just going to show you some of her portfolio as what I feel is a great example of a portfolio when I've been reviewing applications. So yes, this is Lucy's profile. So I'm just going to show you a few things here. Firstly, it's really easy to read, and that art jumps out straight away. She's got really clear where her experience and skill set are, and accomplishments, and it's really easy to contact her, which is perfect. We'll be jumping into examples of her portfolio soon as well. And what I really like about her portfolio, again, it's this clean design, but she's also got some really high quality projects on there, YouTube videos. So me as a recruiter, I'm going through hundreds of applications. I can really quickly see her work in practice. She's doing game design, so these are some of her prototyped levels. Also explanations of each project, so I can see how she's thinking, how she's working. I won't show it in this screen grab today, but on her blog, she actually breaks down everywhere from hand-drawn level designs all the way through to how she's creating mock-ups in Unity. And again, her experience here, she's got voluntary experience, she's also got work experience, she's been a speaker, she's a part of Women in Games communities, and all of that just shows me she's passionate about what she does. She's willing to go that extra mile. And I was just saying to one of your lecturers before this talk started that when we advertised for our internships last year, we got almost 2,000 applications, right? And we need to get through those really fast so we can get to interviews. And so, we're really looking for a whole bunch of things that can help us speed things up. Great portfolios, well-written CVs, cover letters all make you stand out. And I'm just going to get into that a bit deeper in a moment. So going back to Lucy, she's got a great portfolio. She's managed to get all this work experience, amazing. But networking was really her strong suit. So I've pulled this definition of what networking is. I feel like it gets said a lot, but it's not really explained about what it is. Because networking can just be, typically it's felt like it's in person, whether that's going to events, having human interaction, or to be honest, a lot of that now is online, creating a really strong social presence, whether taking part in discussions and communities, talking with companies directly on Twitter, engaging in online projects and sharing those sources. So this is a great way to make you stand out and really make sure that your name is remembered. So Lucy, just this year, I met her at EGX Res, Develop Brighton, and Gamescom. So she managed to save up money to go and attend these events. She actually lives in Newcastle, so none of them are particularly too close. And every time she would just reach out to me on Twitter and be like, hey, are you willing to meet up? And I'm like, sure, And this is a great idea. Networking with the recruiters, networking with game studios. Every time it was just 5-10 minutes, check in, see how she's doing, seeing if there's any jobs available. And yeah, and now I'm here promoting her in front of all of you guys because she's made so much of a great impact in terms of what she's done. So this is just a really cool concept of what you can do. That if you are making yourself heard, people know who you are and know what you can do. This is going to be incredibly valuable and a great step in your career. So I mentioned about work experience. Funny enough, we didn't hire Lucy in the end. She took a job elsewhere. But if you can't get the work experience, it's really hard. I think about Criterion. We do have work experience, like a 1-week shadowing work experience, but that's very sporadic because it's really dependent on how busy the studio is at any one time. We have our internships, but for example, Criterion, we have 5 internships in 5 different crafts, so audio, design, art, production, engineering. They run for 12 months from July to July. So hey, that's just 5 people though. What about other types of work experience that we offer? So yeah, it can be quite sporadic. So if you can't find work experience, what I'd say is make it. Attend game jams, create your own side projects, collaborate with other students, just get some form of practical game development experience. Because what I find with a lot of students is they say, hey, I've got this degree and I did this, but yeah, I really want to see what you've done, how you've worked with other people, what was the result of that, what were the failures, what were the successes. These are the types of questions I'm asking at interview and I really want to know about. So yes, you don't need to get work experience necessarily with these big studios. If you can't, then yeah, do make it yourself. Try and find those side projects, those passion projects, and bring them to life. Because that's always impressive, I think, on an application. So, like I said, touched on this before, and I was looking through what our current interns at EA. We actually have 11 interns at EA right now. We have 4 in marketing, and then we have 2 in Frostbite, and we have 5 in Criterion, like I said, audio, art, engineering, design, and production. So I was thinking about what at least the 7 in Frostbite and Criterion had, what all their applications had immediately. They all had personalized cover letters. This is really key, and this doesn't mean you write a cover letter template and sub in the game studio just so it looks personalized. This also doesn't mean you put in a dear sir, madam. Like for example, myself, if you typed in recruiter EA on Google, I'm sure I'd come up somewhere, right? So you can use LinkedIn, you can use Twitter, and you can use so many other forums to find a specific name of who you want to contact. It's great when you're reading a cover letter from a student and it has your own name in or has the name of the head of the studio in. It shows they've really done their research. And then make it personalized. So show that you've done a ton of research on the company and the studio, reference their games, perhaps something on their website in terms of how they create games and content. You're finding so many companies, EA, Playground, Ubisoft, so many game studios are really trying to promote themselves and what it's like to work there on their company website so you can really understand their culture and how they work. So much information available, so don't be that person who, yes, uploads a cover letter, but it's just totally generic and doesn't even mention the company name in there. In fact, that's one thing I look at. I pull up the cover letter. Does it say Criterion at EA? No, it doesn't. Okay, delete, on to the next one. It's quite brutal, but when you've got 300 applications to go through, you've got to be fast. So, heads up. Another one, high quality portfolios. I showed you an example of a good portfolio, but to be honest, a portfolio doesn't have to be a personal website. It can be a PDF attachment. It could be an ArtStation site. Yeah, it could be your GitHub profile or something like that. Really, the key is what I say by high quality. Don't put everything you've ever done on your portfolio because the chances are the stuff that you first uploaded is not going to be your best work. I'd rather see 2 or 3 really great pieces that genuinely show what you can do, what your current skills are, and what you're interested in, rather than 15 and like the first bits are just your really bad concept artwork, right? So yeah, keep it to your highest quality and then make sure that you show you're working. What I love is when I see one piece, I see from the idea, the concept, all the way through to the completion. That's great. Show you working, what your thoughts were, what your challenges were, how you overcome them. Genuinely, we always read these, and we take a lot of enjoyment in reading through students' portfolios, because every year your abilities just get better and better, and it's so exciting to see. So high quality means, quality not quantity, easy to read, easy layout, and that's, then you'll do good. Well-written CVs. Yes. One example I'd like to give is that I reviewed a CV that was in the form of a Dungeons & Dragons character sheet. I was immediately like, yes, amazing. This, this half-elf is really cool. But it was really hard to read, the CV. I don't know if, never write your CV in that format. Really cool for Dungeons & Dragons, terrible for applying for jobs. So what I mean by well-written is that it is just that, really easy to read. You'll find these really fancy formats. You've got like a star grading system on your skills and things like that. No, just plain and simple, easy to read is totally fine. The only exceptions to that are if you are very good at perhaps graphic design and really want to put some of your own flavor into your CV. But even if you do that, again, focus on the content. Imagine if your parents were reading it, right? Just imagine that. So if they can easily understand what you do, then that means you're guaranteed that every single company that's reviewing your CV is going to do the same. Keep it to a page, keep it easily written. And yes, going back to work experience, all of them had some form of game development experience, whether it was prior internships, whether it was actually shadowing sessions. That's great. I always think that's very lucky, but really what I'm looking for is things like game jams, or a link to, I complete this project with my friends or fellow students, some form of practical experience. And again, we have a lot of fun reviewing portfolios. Someone sends me a game that I can actually play at my desk, get distracted for 5 minutes. Great. It makes reviewing the hundreds of applications a lot of fun. So again, just get that experience in some way possible. So I'm going to wrap up with just an explanation of our internships and how they're coming up. So this QR code, if you scanned it, it would take you to a Google form. We actually have this QR code on a bunch of our flyers downstairs. My two colleagues are there right now, Beth and Nathan. So this QR code will just bring you to a Google form. Very simple. We just ask for your name, your email address, and your areas of interest. So feel free to scan that now, or when you get a flyer from downstairs. So we are going to be advertising our internships in December. So as soon as we launch them, we're going to go straight to whoever signed up here and email you directly saying, hey, you mentioned you're interested in production or art or engineering or audio, etc. Here's the link you need to apply. So you can be straight in there first and get more of a chance of being reviewed quickly. But our internships don't start until July, and they run for 12 months. The reason why I put 6 and 12 months, actually the Frostbite internships are 6 months. They still start in July, but run until the end of the year. The internships with Criterion, as well as our other corporate teams like marketing and finance, run until the following July. So they're the full year. Great. So thank you for inviting me to come to speak to you about how I review applications, what I'm looking for in interns and hires at EA. I'm going to be downstairs all for the rest of the day. So please come up to me and talk to you about anything you like in terms of our careers. Like I said, my two colleagues are there too, so we can give you a good holistic overview of careers at EA in our studios. My email address is right here. That's my handle on Twitter and Instagram as well. But yeah, thank you so much, and good luck with finding your internships. So yeah.